Alright, let me ask you something. What if the most exciting Spider-Man movie we've never seen is one where Peter Parker doesn't punch a single villain? What if it's just Garfield driving a beat-up van across the Southwest, arguing with a hitchhiker version of Dr. Octopus? Because Andrew Garfield? Dude wants his next Spider-Man movie to be so weird, it'd make your head spin. And honestly, I'm here for it. Let's unpack why this idea might be the breath of fresh air superhero cinema desperately needs. So Garfield, in his recent chat with the playlist, basically said he'd only come back if the movie was completely unconventional, his words, not mine. He even threw out the idea of a road trip movie. At first glance, that sounds like a joke. A superhero road trip? But think deeper. What if this is exactly the kind of left-field idea that could reinvent what a Spider-Man story is? Let me explain why this isn't just a quirky pitch, it's a manifesto against superhero formula fatigue. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. Garfield's Spider-Man legacy got shafted. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a mess. Sony's shared universe plans collapsed faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. But here's the thing. His version of Peter Parker had soul. He was awkward, grieving, human. So when he says weird, he's not just chasing novelty. He's saying, let's stop treating Spider-Man like a checklist of CGI battles and let him be a character study again. A road trip movie? That's perfect. It's intimate. It's character-driven. It's the opposite of Spider-Man versus the 10th CGI villain of the week. Now, hold on, why does this matter in 2025? Because superhero movies are stuck in a paradox. Audiences are exhausted, but studios keep pumping out the same thing. Enter Garfield's weird condition. This isn't just about him wanting creative freedom, it's a challenge to the entire industry. What if the only way to save these franchises is to dismantle them? Imagine a Spider-Man movie where the real villain is Peter's own burnout. Where the stakes aren't global annihilation, but whether he can afford to fix Aunt May's roof. That's the kind of boring Garfield's talking about, and I'm obsessed. But here's where it gets even juicier. Tom Holland's Spider-Man is still swinging strong in the MCU. So Sony's stuck. Do they risk a Garfield reboot that might clash with Marvel's plans? Or do they double down on nostalgia by putting him in a post-No Way Home standalone film? Personally, I think Sony's execs are having a crisis right now. Because Garfield's vision is both a fan service dream and a box office gamble. It's like they're holding a Joker-level indie experiment, but in a Spider-Man suit. Let me throw a wild theory at you. What if Garfield's weird Spider-Man 3 is the key to fixing the multiverse era? The MCU's been drowning in lore for years. Meanwhile, imagine cutting from Benedict Cumberbatch's Sorcerer Chaos to Garfield's Peter sitting in a diner, arguing about the meaning of life with a retired Green Goblin. That contrast? That's the adrenaline shot Marvel needs. And if they're too scared to try it, maybe that's the real tragedy here, not the road trip movie we'll never see, but the fact that Hollywood's too risk-averse to let it happen. So here's my closing thought. Andrew Garfield's asking for permission to make Spider-Man matter again. Not as a brand, but as a story about a kid trying to find his place in a world that keeps telling him who he should be. If that sounds boring to you, ask yourself why we're more excited about Spidey fighting aliens than we are about him fighting existential dread. The real question isn't whether Sony will make this movie, it's whether we've forgotten how to care about heroes who feel real.